Have you ever stopped to think how something as simple as a grain of salt can carry such a profound and transformative power? On the one hand, it preserves food and ensures the survival of entire civilizations. On the other, it purifies environments, protects against negative energies, and seals spiritual pacts that cross generations. From sacred rituals in Japan to union ceremonies in Africa, salt has been revered as an element that connects the physical to the divine. But what makes this mineral so special? Why is it considered a true spiritual weapon, capable of purifying, protecting, and even transforming curses into blessings? In this video, we will delve into the fascinating journey of salt, revealing its hidden secrets and the ancestral power that still echoes in our daily lives. Write yourself on the channel, activate the bell, and get ready to see salt in a way you never imagined. Since the beginning of human civilization, salt has occupied a prominent place, not only as an essential resource for life, but also as a symbol of power, spirituality, and transformation. This seemingly simple mineral has shaped the development of peoples around the world, establishing its relevance as more than a spice. It has become a bridge between the physical and the divine. In ancient Rome, salt was so valuable that it gave rise to the term salary because it was used as a form of payment to soldiers. In India, Mahatma Gandhi led the Salt March in 1930 as an act of resistance against British colonialism, demonstrating the symbolic power of this mineral. In ancient Egypt, it was used in mummification processes, symbolizing the preservation of the body and soul for eternity. These connections with salt show how it played a central role in spiritual, social, and political life. In addition, many spiritual traditions viewed salt as a substance loaded with sacred properties. It was used in purification and protection rituals, both in religious ceremonies and in popular practices. People believed that its crystalline structure was capable of repelling negative forces and attracting beneficial energies. This belief is still observed in several cultures, where salt is used to create circles of protection in rituals or to purify environments charged with bad energies. However, salt was not limited to spiritual protection. He was a symbol of unity and trust. In many cultures, sharing salt with someone meant sealing a sacred covenant. This practice persisted for generations, reinforcing the idea that salt is not only a mineral, but also an element of connection between human beings and between man and the sacred. Its importance transcends time and continents. From the bustling markets for salt in Africa, which supported entire economies, to the spiritual rituals in Japan, where it is used to purify temples and sacred spaces, salt has proven to be a substance that goes beyond the physical. It unites the material with the immaterial, the visible with the invisible. When we look at religious scriptures, we realize that salt is not only a natural element, but also a manifestation of the divine order. According to biblical traditions, salt was present from the beginning of creation, when God separated the waters from the earth. It symbolizes the purity and balance of God's work, a physical testimony to creative power. Salt appears repeatedly in sacred stories. In Genesis 19:26, Lot's wife is turned into a pillar of salt as a consequence of her disobedience to God. This event not only demonstrates the power of the Creator, but also reinforces the idea of salt as a symbol of preservation and judgment. Later in 2 Kings 2:19-22, the prophet Elisha uses salt to purify the bitter waters of Jericho, turning them into a fountain of life. This narrative shows salt as an agent of spiritual change, capable of restoring and renewing. Also, in Leviticus 2:13, God commands that all offerings be seasoned with salt. This instruction goes beyond culinary use. It symbolizes the eternal covenant between God and humanity. Salt preserves, just as divine grace preserves the human soul. It becomes a physical and constant reminder of God's faithfulness. These examples show that in divine creation, salt is not just a chemical component of the earth, but a direct conduit to the spiritual. Its ability to preserve the physical reflects God's desire to maintain the purity of creation. It is not just matter, it's a message. Salt carries with it a deep symbolic meaning in spiritual covenants and sacred covenants. In Numbers 18:19, the Bible mentions the covenant of salt, an everlasting covenant between God and the children of Israel. This pact uses salt as a symbol of incorruptibility, as it is resistant to time and decay. Thus, salt becomes a metaphor for the unbreakable covenant between God and his people. This relationship is not restricted to the Bible. In Eastern traditions, such as those of the Middle East, salt also symbolizes eternal pacts. When two people share salt, they make a commitment of friendship and loyalty. This practice is so significant that breaking the pact is considered a very serious act, both spiritually and socially. In addition, salt is often used in ceremonies to seal commitments between man and the divine. For example, in ancient Greece, it was offered to the gods as a tribute of purity. The act of offering salt meant honoring one's connection with higher forces and reinforcing spiritual fidelity. In the spiritual context, salt is more than a mineral. He is a tangible link between the human and the divine. Its role in sacred covenants shows its importance as an agent of preservation, purity, and fidelity. It is a physical reminder of the eternal covenant that transcends time and cultures. It has been used as an instrument of purification throughout the ages, both in spiritual practices and in physical actions. In the Bible, the transformation of the waters of Jericho is one of the most powerful demonstrations of its purifying potential. In the narrative of 2 Kings 2:19-22, the city suffered from contaminated waters that caused infertility and death. Elisha the prophet throws salt into the waters, and by invoking divine intervention, transforms a source of destruction into a source of life. This event illustrates how salt, combined with faith, carries the power to renew and purify even what seemed hopeless. This power of salt is not restricted to the biblical tradition. In African cultures, for example, salt is widely used in healing rituals. It is spread around diseased bodies to neutralize negative energies that may be causing the disease. In spiritual baths, salt is dissolved in water to wash the body and soul, purifying the aura of those who use it. These rituals, apparently simple, carry centuries of beliefs based on the regenerating power of salt. Another relevant practice is the consecration of sacred objects with salt. It is applied over talismans, amulets, and even worship utensils to ensure that they are free from any negative influence before being used in ceremonies. This process reinforces the idea that salt not only cleanses physically, but acts on deeper levels, reaching the spiritual field. The transformative impact of salt also manifests itself in domestic practices that endure to this day. It is common, for example, to put salt in the corners of a new house to purify the environment and ward off any unwanted energy that has accumulated. This tradition, found in various cultures, is a way to ensure that the home begins with renewed energy, aligned with the well-being and spiritual protection of its residents. Finally, salt reminds us that what seems small and insignificant can carry immense strength. When used with faith and intention, it becomes a conduit for transformation, showing that even the most difficult situations can be reversed with the right tools. In addition to its purifying function, salt is widely recognized for its ability to create barriers against negative energies. In esoteric practices, it is seen as one of the most powerful spiritual filters, capable of blocking the entry of evil influences into environments and protecting individuals from invisible attacks. One of the most common ways to use salt for protection is to draw circles around people or objects. This practice, widely spread in ceremonial magic rituals, creates a spiritual barrier that prevents the entry of external forces. The salt circle is not only a physical boundary, but also an energetic shield activated by the intention of the person who performs it. In addition to circles, spreading salt in the four corners of a room is another effective practice. This creates a protective field that neutralizes negative vibrations, making the environment more harmonious. This gesture, often accompanied by prayers or mantras, reinforces the intention to protect the space from unwanted influences. In Japan, salt is thrown at the entrance of establishments or homes to purify the energy of the place and ward off evil spirits. This practice, known as morigio, reflects the belief that salt acts as a spiritual guardian, ensuring that only positive energies enter the space. Salt is also used directly on the body in spiritual baths to create energetic protection around the person. During these baths, the intention is essential. One visualizes the salt dissolving any negative influence, leaving the body and soul clean and strengthened. This protection goes beyond the moment of bathing, creating an invisible shield that remains active for a period. Whether in the corners of a house, in protective circles, or in baths, salt reminds us of the importance of protecting our energy. It acts as a physical reminder that even in an unseen world, we have tools to shield ourselves from influences that might threaten our peace and balance. While often associated with purification and protection, salt also possesses a dual nature. This duality is widely recognized in esoteric traditions, where it can be used for both positive and destructive purposes. On the one hand, salt is widely used in healing, protection, and consecration rituals. Its ability to purify negative energies and align spiritual environments is unquestionable. On the other hand, some dark practices exploit the power of salt to enhance malevolent intentions. In certain dark magic rituals, it is combined with other elements, such as blood or specific herbs, to create destructive spells. This ambivalence of salt reflects its connection with the intention of those who use it. When employed for positive purposes, it becomes a powerful force of protection and purification. However, if manipulated with bad intentions, it can amplify negative energies and even harm those who handle it improperly. In occult traditions, there is a consensus that the misuse of salt can have a reverse effect. Because it is a sacred element, it does not tolerate manipulation without ethics or respect. Thus, those who attempt to utilize it for destructive purposes often face spiritual consequences, such as the return of the energies released. This dual nature of salt teaches us about spiritual responsibility. He reminds us that all power carries a weight, and that the incorrect use of sacred tools can do more harm than good. Ultimately, salt reflects the choice between building or destroying, purifying or corrupting, depending on the intent of the one who uses it. Few elements in nature have such a universal meaning as salt. In almost all cultures, it transcends its role as a spice or preservative, being elevated to a spiritual symbol of protection and connection with the divine. From sacred rituals in Japan to ancestral ceremonials in Africa, salt stands out as a link between man and the supernatural. In Japan, one of the most well-known traditions involving salt is its use in sumo wrestling. Before each match, wrestlers throw salt into the ring to purify it and ward off any negative spiritual influences. This act, called shio, carries a deep symbolism, ensuring that the fight takes place in an energetically clean space. In addition, salt is often placed in small piles at the entrance of homes and businesses, a ritual known as morijo, to attract good luck and ward off evil spirits. In Africa, salt plays an equally significant role. Many tribes consider salt a gift from the gods, used in initiation and healing rituals. In wedding ceremonies, it is common for the bride and groom to share salt as a symbol of eternal, incorruptible union. The act of splitting salt, in this context, represents the solidity and durability of the relationship, comparable to the very nature of the mineral. In the Middle East, salt is shared as part of pacts of friendship and loyalty. When two parties share salt, they seal a spiritual commitment, transcending the barriers of time and life. This tradition dates back centuries, reinforcing salt as a symbol of fidelity and mutual protection. These global practices reveal how salt is seen as an element that harmonizes and connects. It is not just a physical substance, but a universal symbol of purity, continuity, and protection. In each culture, he reflects the importance of establishing a balance between the material and spiritual worlds, showing that, even in his simplicity, he carries an extraordinary depth. Salt has always occupied a central place in the practices of faith and spirituality, being seen as a direct channel between man and the divine. In different religious traditions, it is used as a purifying, protective, and consecrating element, reinforcing the idea that the sacred can be accessed through simple but deeply meaningful gestures. In Christianity, salt is often used in exorcism, baptism, and blessing rituals. When mixed with holy water, it becomes a powerful solution to purify objects, places, and even people, warding off evil influences and protecting the spirit against invisible attacks. The Bible mentions salt as a symbol of the eternal covenant between God and humanity, highlighting its ability to preserve both matter and faith. In Hinduism, salt plays an equally important role. It is spread around temples and homes to create a spiritual barrier that prevents negative energies from entering. During religious festivals, it is used to harmonize environments, restoring the inner peace of the devotees. This practice reflects the belief that salt has the power to balance the energy field, making it possible to have a deeper connection with the divine. In Judaism, salt is also widely revered. During traditional meals, it is common to dip bread in salt as a symbolic act of preserving spiritual purity. This practice dates back to the Talmud, where salt is mentioned as essential for consecrating sacred objects and places, ensuring that they are fit to receive the divine presence. In each of these traditions, salt is much more than an ingredient. It becomes a powerful metaphor for the alliance between the human and the transcendent, reinforcing the idea that the divine is present in even the simplest things. Its ability to purify and protect reflects the very essence of faith, which seeks to renew and preserve the spirit in the face of life's challenges. In alchemy, salt occupies a prominent place as one of the three fundamental principles, alongside sulfur and mercury. It is seen as the element that gives form and structure to chaos, representing the physical body and the crystallization of spiritual energy in the material world. This vision goes beyond the chemical aspect of salt, seeing it as a symbol of resilience, longevity, and transformation. Alchemists believed that salt represented fixation, that is, the force that stabilizes and preserves. In the alchemical laboratories, it underwent purification processes, symbolizing the journey of the human spirit towards enlightenment. Just as raw salt is refined until it becomes pure and translucent, the human soul can also be elevated through self-knowledge and spiritual purification. This view extends to mystical traditions, where salt is associated with wisdom gained through experience. It is seen as a purifier of the mind and spirit, allowing the seeker to achieve clarity and deeper understanding about the nature of existence. The act of refining salt in the alchemical laboratories was a symbolic reflection of the spiritual journey, showing that inner development is a continuous process of transformation. In addition to its symbolic application, salt was also used in the practice of internal alchemy, known as spagyric. In this context, it represented the vital force that sustains the body and soul, being an essential ingredient to create elixirs intended for healing and spiritual balance. Alchemy teaches us that salt is much more than a mineral. It is a reminder that transformation is possible, both on a physical and spiritual level. Its role as the foundation of alchemy reflects the human being's relentless search for meaning, balance, and connection with the divine. While modernity has simplified many aspects of life, ancient wisdom about salt continues to be widely valued. Today, its spiritual and purifying properties are rescued and adapted to contemporary routines, showing that a simple grain can offer protection and balance in an increasingly hectic world. One of the most common practices is the use of salt to purify environments. Spreading coarse salt in the corners of the house, especially in places of greater circulation, is a technique used to neutralize accumulated negative energies. This tradition, which originated from ancient cultures, is now widely applied as a practical and affordable way to create a harmonious space. After a few days, the salt can be collected and discarded, representing the symbolic removal of bad influences. In addition, the salt bath continues to be a powerful tool for spiritual renewal. In the midst of the stressful routine, many people find relief in immersion baths with coarse salt, mixed with herbs or essential oils. This ritual promotes not only the cleansing of the body, but also of the aura, helping to dissipate negative emotional and spiritual charges. When performed with intention and faith, the salt bath renews energy, strengthening the individual against the challenges of everyday life. Another practice that has gained popularity is the use of salt lamps, which are made of natural crystals. They are believed by many to be sources of energy balance, in addition to helping to purify the air. Although their spiritual efficacy is still subjective, these lamps represent a modern attempt to integrate the symbolic force of salt into urban and technological environments. In financial life, salt has also been used as a symbol of prosperity. A recurring practice involves leaving a small container with rock salt in strategic areas of the home or work as a reminder of protection and purification. This technique, inherited from ancient traditions, symbolizes stability and longevity, qualities that salt represents. These modern practices not only rescue ancestral wisdom, but show how simple elements can be adapted to bring balance and protection to contemporary life. Salt, at its core, remains a link between the past and the present, preserving its role as a spiritual guardian. After all, in a world full of uncertainty, it is comforting to know that something so humble can carry such a transformative force. Did you enjoy discovering the spiritual secrets of salt? Now it's time to put this knowledge into practice. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss any content that can transform your life. Share this video with anyone you think needs spiritual protection or is looking for more balance in their daily lives. And don't forget to leave it here in the comments. Which of these practices with salt did you already know or intend to try? See you in the next video, where we'll explore more mysteries that can change your view of the world.